Module 5, Tools for Consulting. In this particular module, we will be going over 6 different listening tools. These include attending, open-ended questions, paraphrasing, clarifying questions, summarizing, and information giving. Let's start with attending. So attending is all about open body language, encouraging open dialogue. So posture is very important in this particular skill. Thinking about building a trusting space, relaxed, open, welcoming, where the student that you're meeting with feels very encouraged and welcome to share anything on their mind. Examples of types of attending tools you could use would be eye contact, an upright posture, maybe even leaning towards the student a little bit, arms and legs not crossed but more engaged, a very calm tone of voice, hand not over mouth, and also brow not furrowed, looking quizzical or worried, just being very relaxed and open. The second tool is all about open-ended questions. So encouraging stakeholders and students to broaden their thinking. So these questions are really good to help people start considering more of why they are coming to meet with you. So for instance, what brought you here? What happened? What happened after that? What leads you to say that? Would you kindly say more about how those things may be impacting you right now, or help me understand better this particular situation? How do you see it differently? And when you say blank, what do you mean by that? So you want to keep it open, get the student talking, and you do want to avoid why or very close-ended questions that are only going to provide 1 or 2 responses or a yes or no response. Paraphrasing is a wonderful tool. Paraphrasing puts things in a less charged, more helpful light, and it allows the speaker to be able to reflect upon what they've just said. So paraphrasing, for instance, is less emotionally charged than some other types of tools. This is a rewording of the person's viewpoint, aiming to be helpful, and it's also open to correction. So for instance, you might say, "Oh, so you feel frustrated by so-and-so's behavior." And the student may come back and say, "Well, no, not really. That's not what I meant." Or, "Yes, I absolutely do feel frustrated by that." So it either provides an opportunity for clarification, or it can also go into a little bit more detail and also be affirming of what they just said. It helps the listener and the speaker to really build that trust between each other. So hence, be tentative and then also paraphrase both content as well as the feelings that you're getting from the speaker themselves. Clarifying questions. So this is when you probe stakeholders thinking about their positions. So when you think about clarifying questions, this is a little bit like paraphrasing, but you're checking on very specific aspects of their story. So for instance, if you are a little bit confused about what they're saying, or maybe they didn't go into as much detail about their particular situation, clarifying questions can get at some of those answers a little bit quicker. So for instance, you could say, "Would you please explain further how something plays into all of this?" Or, "I'm not sure I totally understand what you're telling me about. From your point of view, how does that work?" And it's okay to say, "I'm just a bit confused. You told me that this, but you also told me this other contradictory point. Can you clarify this for me?" And that allows the speaker to then clarify and make their position very clear. Summarizing. So paraphrasing key points minus unhelpful elements. So very similar, again, to paraphrasing, but also going straight to the point within their story. So let me see if I got this straight, making sure that I got exactly what you said correct. It sounds like, or what I hear you saying is, or so you feel like. So again, you're affirming what they're saying, somewhat paraphrasing the key points and some of the strongest points of their argument, but you're also making sure that you're getting the information correct. Information giving. A lot of us who work in education with advising or coaching or consulting in this case, it's very easy to jump directly into information giving before we take time to really listen. So that's why we start with these other tools first. Make sure you build up to information giving. Make sure you have the story in mind when you are actually giving information. So for instance, after you've gone through listening to the story, paraphrasing, clarifying, being very attentive to the student, you want to really think about where are they right now? What are the most important things that they actually need right now? Do they need a checklist of 10 different things, or maybe just one or two action steps? So again, first listen to determine what information is known and what is needed. Try to avoid jargon that a lot of students may not understand. Present all relevant facts. Do not protect the student per se, but allow them to really know where they are and what would be most helpful for them. And also do not overload the consumer with information. Again, sometimes helpers, it's very easy for us to do this, is overload the student with a lot of action steps. But be reasonable. What potentially could they accomplish in 24 hours, a week, maybe a month, maybe a semester? So try to make it a little bit more easily consumable. Get the consumer's reaction to the information. Use paper and pencil aids if possible to help them write notes and create action steps. And then always educate students in just how they're going to go about these different steps that you've listed. Refute any myths that may come up by the student or roadblocks that they may bring up that may be in their way. Educate the student about resources that you're going to be providing, and allow the student to also help educate themselves. So even having them pull up a resource on their own laptop or their phone, or allowing them to guide themselves through a particular thing, that is going to help them learn through active learning. Silence is another great tool, and it's a tool that a lot of us don't use very often. We're very much a talking generation, and so silence is a really important part of a conversation. When you are sitting in silence, even if the other student or the person is not immediately jumping in and talking, that silence creates a space for something to happen. So it also shifts that responsibility to the other person. So if the student just is more of a processor, just needs a few more minutes to think through something, that silence provides that place to do so. So don't feel like you have to always fill space with words. It's okay to sit silently and just be still as that student or individual are just thinking through what they want to say. Now let's discuss 5 career development tools that will help you in your consulting with students. Let's talk about career communities, the What Can I Do with a Major In, or Wicked Whammies, Pathway U, Competency Compass, and our majors, minors, and certificate list for UNC Charlotte. At UNC Charlotte, we have 7 different career communities. These career communities are centered around different industries and grouped together according to industries of interest. Students, when they start coming to UNC Charlotte, are able to opt in to one or more career communities to help them get connected both to employers, campus events, resources, their career coach, and so many more other services and resources that they can take advantage of. These 7 different career communities include arts, media, and design, the Explore career community for those students who come in and are unsure about their major, engineering, manufacturing, and energy, business, financial services, and logistics, healthcare, science, and research, social impact, education, and nonprofit, technology, data, and analytics. So for instance, let's say you have a healthcare management student who's also very interested in potentially working in the world of business. So they're interested in both healthcare, but they're also interested in maybe working for a different type of company, maybe outside of healthcare. For a student like that, they could join 2 different career communities. They can join the healthcare science and research community, as well as the business, financial services, and logistics career community. And that way, they will be getting resources and information about internships and employers, everything down from resume styles that really meets their needs and how they can explore careers after graduation. Let's talk about our wicked whammies. What can I do with a major in? So What Can I Do with a Major In is a wonderful website that we have created in-house to help students to really think through their major as well as what their major might lead to. Not all majors are linear. In fact, most of them are not. However, it is very helpful for students to have a general idea of where these particular majors might be heading. So when you log into the What Can I Do with a Major In portal, you're able to help students start exploring this. When you arrive at the homepage of the What Can I Do with a Major In, you are then able to search for the particular major that you would like to explore. In this case, I'll choose data science. So for a student who may be navigating what data science is and some of the sample occupations, types of employers they may want to work for, and also some tips on how to prepare for a career in this industry, this is a really great starter page to just look over some of the basic information. Most students will look at this information and either be really drawn to it, or they might be put off by it because it's not exactly what they thought about. And so I highly encourage the consultants to be able to use this type of information to help students navigate some of their options. Let's now talk about Pathway U. Pathway U is our main career assessment that we use at UNC Charlotte. All students, staff, and even faculty can take Pathway U by logging in to career.charlotte.edu/assessments and just typing in your NinerNet and password. Pathway U is a wonderful resource for both students who are exploring majors and careers, but also students who may know a general direction of how they want to go into a career, but they're still navigating job titles. Pathway U actually covers 4 different types of assessments. It covers personality, interests, values, and also workplace preferences. And once all 4 of these are in place, this will give you a cross-reference to different career paths, industries, and be able to help students to be able to navigate these a little bit better according to who they are personally. Competency Compass is a portal that has been built in-house. When you log into Compass for the very first time, you'll notice that immediately there is an assessment that students can take. You are also welcome to take this assessment just to explore the portal and gain a sense of how we help students in this particular resource. For right now, I'm just going to say, remind me later. Competency Compass focuses on the 8 different career competencies that the National Association of Colleges and Employers lays out for students to help them prepare for life after college. These 8 competencies include career and self-development, communication, critical thinking, equity and inclusion, leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and technology. Within Compass itself, students are able to log in, click on the Activities tab, and once they take the assessment and have a general idea of the competencies they would like to learn, they're able to jump into the activities and start navigating campus activities that might be a good fit for them. So for instance, let's say communication came up very high on my assessment. So for instance, when I go into the Communications tab, I'm now able to navigate all of these different campus activities that have been rated with 5 stars for communication. So for instance, I will look through and let's see which one I would like to choose. Let's look at the Niner Tech Associate. So when I click on Niner Tech Associate, I'm going to learn a little bit about this position. I will also be redirected to the Student Union where I can find out more about how to apply. I can favorite this by clicking on the heart. I can also see how this particular activity was broken down in terms of competency level, so very high in communication and technology. Once I actually go into this and complete this particular activity, this activity also comes with sample resume bullets, as well as practice interview questions to help me get ready to talk about this experience with a future employer. So it's very, very easy to navigate. It also helps students get connected very quickly, especially those younger students who are just getting familiar with campus. This is a really great resource to help introduce them to some really valuable activities on campus that will help them grow in their career competencies. Another resource is the lists of majors, minors, and certificates. This particular list can be found at academics.charlotte.edu/undergraduate programs. Especially for students who are still navigating what they want to study, or maybe adding a minor or certificate to their program of study, this is a really great place to show them because many students don't know about this particular page. So it's definitely a good one to bookmark. A lot of students, when you're meeting with them for the first time, may say, I don't have any idea about what to major in, or I really want to study this, but I don't know where that falls. And a lot of times students will say, I could also study anything. I'm happy with any topic. But once you actually help them to start looking at all of the different topics, that huge list of everything they could study all of a sudden becomes a much smaller list. So this is just a really great way to just get started. Let's say, for instance, a student you're meeting with is very interested in an engineering field, but they're not quite sure what aspect of engineering they're going into. And even if I scroll down here to the engineering section, you can see all of the different options within engineering itself, whether it be civil, mechanical, computer. So there's so many different ones that you could study. And once students actually start looking at the different programs and the prerequisites, application to particular colleges, they're able to start navigating a little bit better, maybe what would be the best fit for them currently. So this is a really great resource to provide students, to email them a link after your meeting, and just provide a little bit more context. Some students, whether they're freshmen or transfer students, they may not know that a particular college, there's an application process. And so just kind of walking them through some of the basics that are found on this page. I hope you have a better idea now about some of the tools for consulting. Take your time to practice these tools and start using the resources yourself to become more familiar with them.